The rise of LA Knight has been quite the journey for us all to witness. Going from gimmicks that made us hate Vince to ditching it and going back to what made him successful in the first place, LA Knight has been through a lot to reap the benefits of his sacrifices. In today's video, I'm gonna run through his entire journey in WWE, starting from his debut in NXT. LA Knight debuted on the kickoff show of NXT Vengeance Day, cutting a promo that gave us a glimpse of what we were in store for with his character work. He was able to capture your attention and left you wanting to hear more. A couple of weeks later, he cut an official promo on NXT calling out stars on the roster and letting his presence be known. The following week, he had a backstage segment talking about his upcoming match. Then he was ambushed by Bronson Reed, who warned him about his cockiness. LA Knight will go on to have his debut match, which was interrupted by Bronson Reed, which almost led to LA Knight's first loss, but he was able to recover and secure the victory. LA Knight will face Bronson Reed the following week and suffered his first loss on NXT. He would then have a backstage segment declaring himself to participate in the Gauntlet Eliminator qualifying Battle Royal and promises to take out Bronson Reed. He was successful in eliminating Bronson Reed and he secured himself the last spot in the #1 contender Gauntlet Eliminator. He wasn't successful in this match, being put away by Bronson Reed, then put to sleep on the outside by Dexter Lumis. The following week, he faced Dexter Lumis, in which Lumis got distracted by Indy Hartwell, which led to LA Knight catching the W. His next feud was with Cameron Grimes, which was one of my favorite feuds that LA Knight has been a part of since joining WWE. Cameron Grimes was having a $1 million face-off with the $1 Million Man, and LA Knight interrupted. LA Knight was explaining why he was the better man to carry on the legacy and hit Cameron Grimes with the BFT. This was basically a love triangle between the men in order to impress Ted DiBiase. LA Knight will go on to have a match the following week and he lost due to the distraction caused by Cameron Grimes. Grimes will then exit the arena with Ted DiBiase by his side. The following week, LA Knight and Cameron Grimes are showing off their lifestyles to try and impress the $1 Million Man before their eventual face-off. Ted DiBiase reveals that both of the men will be fighting for the $1 Million Championship at the next pay-per-view. LA Knight secured the victory and was now the new $1 Million Champion with Ted DiBiase supporting him. The following show, LA Knight turned on Ted DiBiase, further cementing himself as a major heel down in NXT. He claimed that he now has everything he needs and wants to drop everything that he doesn't need. Cameron Grimes would then challenge LA Knight to a rematch in which he accepts, but under some conditions. Knight says that if Grimes loses the match, he would have to become his personal butler. LA Knight would win the match and Cameron Grimes has now become his new personal butler. The TV that these two produced was some great comedy. If you haven't watched these segments, I totally suggest them because they were absolutely hilarious. WWE has something special in Cameron Grimes and they fumbled him so badly. LA Knight will get into a confrontation backstage leading to a match later on. He will lose the match due to distraction outside from Cameron Grimes and this would lead to a beatdown. He forced Grimes to punch Drake Maverick against his will. The following week, these two will have another gold segment, this time at the golf course. They were interrupted by the grizzled young veterans and were challenged to a tag match the following week. They lost the match because LA Knight left Grimes hanging by himself and Ted DiBiase came out to the aid of Grimes. The following week, Ted DiBiase gambles on Cameron Grimes, telling LA Knight that he should put the title on the line at takeover 36. LA Knight turned up the stakes, saying that Ted will be his butler if Cameron Grimes loses that match. The following week, LA Knight will set up Grimes for a match against Josh Briggs. Grimes will secure the victory and LA Knight will take out both Ted and Grimes. Cameron Grimes will go on to defeat LA Knight to become the new $1 Million Champion at NXT TakeOver 36. A couple of weeks later, he confronted a debuting Bron Breakker and challenged him to a match. Breakker will squash LA Knight in 3 minutes, asserting his dominance from the jump. I didn't understand the reasoning for this match because LA Knight had a championship match the same night. LA Knight would take the pin in that match, losing the opportunity to win the NXT Championship. 2 weeks later, Odyssey Jones will interrupt LA Knight's interview in which LA Knight attacked him and challenged him to a match the following week. Knight will secure the victory due to the help of Andre Chase. Seeing LA Knight in NXT 2.0 never felt right. The vibe of the product was just at an all-time low. He would face Grayson Waller for the rights to become the host of Halloween Havoc, in which he secured the victory. I don't know what the fuck they had LA Knight doing, but this wasn't it. This led to the debut of Solo Sikoa, and yeah, this was a nothing segment. This was the start of the rivalry between Grayson Waller and LA Knight. The following week, Knight will cost Waller in his match after distracting him on the outside. Knight will participate in a triple threat match in which he was yet again the man taking the pin. At this point, the rivalry turned into a tenured veteran mad that the new guy thinks he's the top prize. This sparked a brawl between Grayson and LA Knight. This rivalry spewed into a new school versus old school where all the black and gold wrestlers were fighting all of NXT 2.0. This led to a War Games match between the two groups in which Team NXT 2.0 secured the victory, putting over the future of the company. LA Knight would continue to feud with Grayson Waller as he was ambushed in the parking lot. A couple of weeks later, LA Knight made his return and called out Grayson Waller. Waller filed for a restraining order against LA Knight, but Knight had a backup plan and summoned Dexter Lumis to take care of his dirty work. The following week, Grayson Waller would cost LA Knight his match, then he got beat down by his bodyguard. Knight would defeat Sanga in a match, then would brawl with Grayson right after. I'm gonna be honest, this rivalry sucked so bad. NXT 2.0 had a lot of horrible booking despite the amount of future stars that they created with that brand. These two will go on to brawl again since Grayson violated the restraining order, which leads to LA Knight challenging Grayson Waller for the following week. Waller won the match by a roll-up and grabbing the tights, then LA Knight once again beat him up. Knight would challenge Waller to a last man standing match in which he would take the loss due to the help from Sanga, finally putting a rest to this rivalry. The following week, LA Knight joined Miz TV and challenged Dolph Ziggler for the NXT Championship. For some reason, losers are able to challenge for the title. Dolph Ziggler will retain his championship as once again LA Knight loses when he should have had his crowning moment. This loss basically let me know that LA Knight was on his way to the main roster. LA Knight's next small feud was with Gunther. He got ambushed by Imperium and MSK came out to the aid of the Megastar. This set up a 6-man tag match between the groups the following week. LA Knight's team lost and it was on to the next PLE. He would lose to Gunther at Stand and Deliver, and that was the last we seen of LA Knight in NXT. Finally, LA Knight has made his debut. Wait. Who the fuck is this guy? Why the hell did anybody think this was a good idea? He went from a megastar to a maximum male model agent. So yeah, he was looking for new maximum male models to recruit. This whole angle that they were trying to push for, Max Dupree was just horrid. A shell of his former self is the best way to frame this. Max Dupree would finally reveal his clients Marseille and Mansoir. Yeah, this was the drizzling shits. I remember watching this live and hating every single second of this. The gimmick was just pointless and it wasn't going to get any of these guys over. This was all that this group was. Poses that wasted TV time. Maxine Dupree would make her debut and things just get worse. This segment was extremely cringe. It felt like you were watching an adult film when this was on. They were doing a photo shoot which was interrupted by Los Lotharios. They were flirting with Maxine Dupree so they can join the agency. The following week, the models would get dumped by Shit Row. This group was just not getting over by any means. The models would spray paint Shit Row's bus, except it actually wasn't their bus. It belonged to the Street Profits. The maximum male models lost to Hit Row the following week, wasting everyone's time. They lost again, this time to the New Day, and Max Dupree finally snapped on the group. Max Dupree left the agency as he wanted no part of being with these losers. LA Knight was back, and this was the best thing to happen for his career. Knight would defeat Mansoir in a singles match the following week. Finally, he was back to his former self, and he was catching momentum against some tenured guys on the roster. The following week, he was being interviewed backstage until he got interrupted by Bray Wyatt. This was huge because his first real feud on the main roster was with one of the hottest wrestlers at the time. LA Knight wasn't phased and told Bray Wyatt he doesn't have time for his games. Bray then headbutts Knight and leaves the area. The following week, LA Knight did the unthinkable and he straight up slapped Bray Wyatt and walked out the ring. LA Knight claimed that they were now even and Bray Wyatt asked for forgiveness. Later on in the night, LA Knight was found unconscious under piles of objects. Bray Wyatt claimed that he didn't attack LA Knight and Knight himself claimed that this was bogus. The following week, Knight starts attacking Bray and this is the first sighting of Uncle Howdy. LA Knight challenged Bray to a match at the Royal Rumble in which he accepted and they were interrupted by Uncle Howdy. And out of nowhere, Howdy hits Wyatt with a Sister Abigail while LA Knight stands there shocked. A couple of weeks later, Bray Wyatt would challenge LA Knight to a pitch dark match at the Royal Rumble. Bray brought back the Firefly Funhouse to intimidate LA Knight. I enjoyed it because I missed these segments. On the 30th anniversary of Raw, LA Knight called out Bray Wyatt, but Undertaker came out instead. After this, Bray Wyatt appeared from behind. Undertaker had LA Knight in the chokeslam position, then tossed him to Bray, who hit him with a Sister Abigail. This was a beautiful passing of the torch moment. The following week, LA Knight impersonated Bray Wyatt, which was actually hilarious hilarious, and we got another Uncle Howdy sighting. The pitch dark match was interesting. It felt surreal to see Bray Wyatt wrestle again, but nothing happened. They went back to the supernatural wrestling and Uncle Howdy made another appearance. Knight took the loss and Uncle Howdy still didn't reveal his identity. After this feud, LA Knight didn't really do all that much, but the most important thing was that he was extremely over with the crowd. I find it crazy that he was still able to get the crowd on his side despite not being in any special feud. And I also find it crazy how he missed WrestleMania 39 despite being one of the hottest wrestlers. LA Knight participated in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, in which he was eliminated as the fans booed. Knight's popularity was skyrocketing, yet his booking was not up to par, and it was leaving the fans wanting to see more of him. Knight had a Money in the Bank qualifying match against Montez Ford, in which he secured a victory. A couple of weeks later, Knight crashed LWO's party and faced Santos in a singles match. Knight lost once again and beat down Santos Escobar after the match. Knight showed up on Raw and roasted everyone a part of the Money in the Bank ladder match. This gave him so much momentum going into the match. Unfortunately, LA Knight didn't win the match and the fans all around the world despised this decision. A couple of weeks later, Knight announced that he is coming for the United States Championship, and everyone thought it was finally his time to be crowned, but nope, they gave the opportunity to Rey Mysterio instead. LA Knight was part of the Battle Royal for SummerSlam, which was a nothing match, but it allowed him to be a part of a PLE finally. He won the Battle Royal and things looked like it was going to take a turn for Knight's booking. Knight's next feud was with The Miz, and boy was this great. This was the perfect person to throw to LA Knight to see if he was truly ready for the spotlight. The Miz will cost LA Knight his match the following show, further sparking fire into this feud. LA Knight will do the same and distract The Miz, costing him a win as well. Miz will go on to impersonate Knight, which was extremely hilarious. Knight will take the win at Payback, and he got the torch passed down to him by John Cena. The following show, Knight interrupted a conversation between Paul Heyman and Adam Pearce, demanding another match with The Miz. Paul Heyman told LA Knight to respect when business is being done, and Knight didn't seem to care. Knight would then defeat The Miz once again, putting him away for good. After the match, Knight set out a challenge to all of the champions on the roster. A couple of weeks later, John Cena was getting beat up by the Bloodline, and the Megastar came out to save the leader of the C Nation. LA Knight signed to be the tag partner for John Cena at Fastlane. They defeated the Bloodline, and it was clear that WWE had major plans for the Megastar. The following night, Roman Reigns confronted John Cena, thinking that he was going to challenge for the title. Then LA Knight came out, and the crowd popped insanely loud. The first encounter from these two certainly didn't disappoint. LA Knight shined in the biggest moment of his career. He would go on to face Solo Sikoa, defeating him, then getting ambushed by Roman Reigns. The following week, LA Knight sends a warning to Roman Reigns by confronting Paul Heyman. Knight will go on to cut one of the best promos of his career against Roman Reigns, getting the full support of the crowd behind him. Roman was fed up and attacked LA Knight, but Knight was able to turn it back onto him and getting the upper hand. Jimmy Uso will help Roman attacking LA Knight from behind, but Knight will put him through the table, standing tall in the end. Knight shined in the biggest match of his career, but he wasn't able to secure the championship. The next few weeks, LA Knight was reasserting himself into the WWE Championship picture, joined by Randy Orton and AJ Styles. All three of these men fought to be crowned the #1 contender for the WWE Championship, but it was interrupted by Roman Reigns. He laid everyone to waste, leading to Nick Aldis determining that this match at the Royal Rumble was now a fatal four-way. LA Knight was not successful in this night as Roman Reigns defended his title once again. Knight's next feud was with AJ Styles as he costed him his qualifying match for the Elimination Chamber. He had a qualifying match of his own in which he secured the victory, defeating Ivar. At the Elimination Chamber, AJ Styles would travel all the way to Perth, Australia to attack LA Knight, costing him a chance to fight for the World Heavyweight Championship. Knight was looking for revenge, but Nick Aldis told AJ Styles to stay home for the night. This made Knight grow angrier as the weeks go by because AJ Styles wasn't showing up. He threw up a challenge to Styles for WrestleMania 40. AJ attacked him from behind with a steel chair and accepted the challenge. This will get completely personal as LA Knight invaded AJ Styles' home, brawling in front of it. This was perfect and was easily one of the best things going on at SmackDown during that time. The following week, LA Knight disguised himself as a security guard and beat the hell out of AJ Styles. The match at WrestleMania was phenomenal, no pun intended. These two went out and put on a banger. Knight silenced a lot of doubters on this night, claiming that he couldn't wrestle. The following show, LA Knight would participate in the triple threat match to find out who would challenge Cody Rhodes for the WWE title. Knight would advance to face Styles to determine the #1 contender for the WWE Championship. Styles would defeat LA Knight to become the #1 contender for Cody's WWE title. LA Knight's next venture was in the King of the Ring tournament, where he eventually lost to Tama Tonga due to the bloodline interference. A couple of weeks later, Knight walked into Nick Aldis's office looking for Logan Paul. This is exciting because it finally meant that WWE was exploring LA Knight versus Logan Paul for the United States Championship. The following week, he defeated Carmelo Hayes, then hopped on commentary to challenge Logan Paul for the US Championship. Logan refused the challenge because he believes that LA Knight isn't worthy of competing with him. So Knight took matters into his own hands and invaded Logan's home. This was great stuff because LA Knight was finally getting valuable TV time. The following show, Knight was trash talking Logan, then Logan ambushed him from behind, standing tall over him. On the next show, Knight would qualify for the Money in the Bank match, pinning the US champion Logan Paul. Knight was once again not successful in obtaining the briefcase, but it's fine because of what he was in store for next. At the following show, Knight revealed that he signed a contract to face Logan Paul at SummerSlam for the US title. Knight would go on to have a face-to-face with Logan that turned into a brawl before the championship match. Knight even went as low as stealing Logan's prime truck on the road to their championship showdown. Knight faced Logan Paul at SummerSlam and had one of the best matches of the night, hands down. As much as I hate Logan Paul, I can't deny that he is hella talented. LA Knight finally won his first championship on the main roster, and things are looking great for the megastar. From the absolute worst booking imaginable to being one of the hottest stars of professional wrestling today, LA Knight has had quite the journey to the top of the mountain. I hope you all enjoyed the video. I'm back from vacation. I'm sunburnt, I'm black as hell, but I'm ready to get back on that grind. Peace and love to you all. I'm gonna see you guys in the next video. I'm out of here.